Welcome to another episode of Higher Ground Radio. I'm your host Irvin Wainwright. It's Sunday morning. We're going to start this a little bit early because I do have a guest going to join me in a little bit later. But right now, just to get the show started off, we're going to play... Today, I want to dedicate this show to all the beautiful women of the world, all the beautiful black women of the world today. I want you to know that as a black man, we do respect you. And I say this and I speak for all of us. We respect you and we do honor you. So today, this show is dedicated just to you.
White girls rock, Asian girls rock, Indian girls rock, Hispanic girls rock, every race rocks, but they all come from a black girl. Black girls rock, gotta sing it 'cause black girls rock. Oh, but listen, black girls don't stop. Say it loud 'cause black girls, you rock. Been to many places, saw so many black hot chicks. Dark skin, caramel, chocolate, light brown, red is brown, nice pot is light skin, red bone, so many skin tone. Gucci make it flirt, nice booty with the skirt, just moving to the work, just do a baby twerk. I love to see the black girls dancing with the beauty enhancement, thinking about romancing. So much in the variety, it's true. Got to have one beside of me, it's you. Black girl is the wife to be. Say I do. Brothers fashion, then they gotta be. Hey fools, I like the swag, like the style. Supergirl is a black girl. Simone Biles, she can fly, best in the world. I love her smile, mentally rich, skin nice and thin, keep proud. You see, white girls rock, Asian girls rock, Indian girls rock, Hispanic girls rock, every race rocks, but they all come from a black girl. Black girls rock, gotta sing it 'cause black girls rock. Oh, but listen, black girls don't stop. Say it loud 'cause black girls, you rock. Black girls rock, gotta sing it 'cause black girls rock. Oh, but listen, black girls don't stop. Say it loud 'cause black girls, you rock. All around the world, black girls. All around the world, black girls. All around the world, black girls. All around the world. Serena Williams, Oprah Winfrey, Nigerians, getting them degrees, the most educated group in America. And you can Google the truth, you original. Cause every woman in you, scientific evidence, genetic proof. My impression, you a blessing. What's the lesson? Respect the essence. Like Jamaican women, they cook, they can steam. King and black women, they'll treat you like a king. You a king, brother, and she's a queen. You a king, brother, and she's a queen. Black American women, so strong and independent. From Beyonce to Jada Pinkett, looking so nice. Shout out to Condoleezza Rice, Michelle Obama, you rock, you said it right. You see, white girls rock, Asian girls rock, Indian girls rock, Hispanic girls rock, every race rocks, but they all come from a black girl. Black girls rock, gotta sing it 'cause black girls rock. Oh, but listen, black girls don't stop. Say it loud 'cause black girls, you rock. Black girls rock, gotta sing it 'cause black girls rock. Oh, but listen, black girls don't stop. Say it loud 'cause black girls, you rock. All around the world, black girls. 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 All around the world, black girls.
All right, that's from Kush, from the album Kingdom of Kush. Black girls, you rock all around the world. Today I'm going to have someone who's going to join in with us. So I'll start the show off just a little bit today talking about an area of mental health that is thus far has been unexplored by us as a people, or for that matter by anyone. There has been some research in the area, but it's been mainly dealing with people who are in high stressful jobs like firemen or first responders. But the thing is that in our communities, we're always in a high stress situation. It's always high stress level for us there. So no research has been done in this area, and I think that it's important that we do the research in this area. I think that's important because it affects us it impacts our community in a very, very important negative way. And so yesterday I was just kind of like, looking at different types of mental illnesses, which I do periodically. I may go through and do my research, and I compare a lot of things, because, there's always something new emerging. So I always try to find a way to get us, to get the information out to us, the information that need to go out to us. And so as I was doing my research, I came across, I started to think about, what happens to the mental status or mental state of an individual who is constantly exposed to trauma or violence. And I thought, because that's something that we see on a daily basis. I mean, I had a young family member just be shot and killed in Chicago. And a couple nights ago here in Rockford, there was a young man shot and killed. It seems like every week there's a report of someone being shot and killed, or there's a shooting going on. Chicago is plagued by homicide of black on black, and whether we want to argue and say that, well, maybe black on black crime isn't as bad as people say it is, we do need to stop and take a look at that and see, what's going on, with it, because again, it's pretty rampant out in our community. So I thought about what happens to an individual who experiences repeated traumatic experiences. And so I came up with repeated traumatic experience disorder, because during the research I uncovered a few things that happens to individuals that they're always under stress, that they're always placed in stressful situations, and some of the things that happens is in the brain. It's called the hippocampus of the brain. We have they're in each cerebral spheres of the brain, and it controls our reasoning, it controls our learning. It controls our emotion, and it controls our motivation. And so when looking at some of the things, that's involved with it, with the hippocampus, I looked again and I realized that a lot of the struggles that we're going through, a lot of the mental illness issues that we're dealing with as a people, can easily be related to what I call repeated traumatic experience disorder. So what happens in that case is our capacity to learn is diminished, and so we may become learning impaired. There's also a emotional distress that's developed where we can't process our emotions properly, and may lead to learned helplessness. It may lead to overreacting in situations that that don't require the extent of reaction that we give it. And then there's the motivational aspect of it too as well. And it all sounds very familiar to what Dr. Joy DeGory describes as PTSS, post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's a theory that explains the origins of many of the adaptive survival behaviors in African Americans, in our communities throughout the United States and the diaspora. It's a condition that exists as a consequence of multi-generational oppression of Africans and their descendants, resulting from centuries of chattel slavery. So a few years before that, there was a guy by the name of Dr. Alan Passan, who wrote a book called Laying My Burdens Down, where he first talked about post-traumatic stress disorder. But here's the interesting thing about it. What PTSS is, this is followed, or this is reinforced by institutionalized racism, which continues to harm our people today. Thus, Dr. DeGore summed it up in an acronym she called MAP, M-A-P. Multi-generational trauma together with continued oppression. There's an absence of opportunity to heal or access the benefits available in the society. This leads to what we call post-traumatic slave syndrome. Under these particular circumstances, particular behaviors develop, or particular patterns are almost, predictable. And here's where the repeated exposure or repeated traumatic experience disorder comes in at. In people who experience repeated multiple trauma, it's marked by there's an insufficient development of self-esteem, along with feelings of hopelessness, depression, and a general self-destructive outlook. It's marked by a propensity for anger and violence. Because that area of the brain is diminished or is kind of rerouted, extreme feelings of suspicion or perceived negative motivations of others become the norm. Then it produces violence against yourself or against property or against others, including members of your own group. That is your friends, relatives, or acquaintances. And we call that racist socialization or internalized racism. Learned helplessness, literacy deprivation, distorted self-concept, and antipathy or aversion for the following. There's a dislike for members of one's own identified culture, ethnic group. So these, what I call adaptive behaviors, they've been passed down through generations and were appropriate. So that they were appropriate at the time, I shouldn't say appropriate, they were appropriated, by the offspring. So we're now transmitting to others in our environments of home, school, work, within the larger society, the same trauma. It's a cycle type of trauma. So I wanted to make people aware of what I call repeated experience trauma disorder. Let's together begin to take a look at that and see what we can do to help our people. So I'm going to take us out of here with Two-Face, the African Queen. Again, this show is dedicated to all the beautiful African women of the world. And so here's to you. Enjoy.
You are my African queen. Ooh, Lord. Just like the sun, light up the earth, light up my life. The only one I ever see with a smile so bright. And just yesterday, you came around my way. Your astonishing beauty. Oh, you couldn't make a brother sing. Ordinary being a supernatural being. And I know you are brighter than the moon, brighter than the star. I love you just the way you are. And you are my African queen. The girl of my